on the Life and Listings podcast. I have Kim, which is in Santa Rosa, California. She's one of the agents at Prosper Real Estate, which is actually one of the team bridges that we've run for a few years. So I wanted her to join us and just share her unique story. So Kim, you want to introduce yourself and tell us what got you into real estate?
Yes. Hello. Thank you for having me, Miss Jen. What got me into real estate is actually a funny story. My now husband and I were young buyers. And at the time, my father was a lender and he was like, you guys can do this. You can buy a house. And we were broke and scraping everything together, trying to make it happen. He's like, I have the best realtor for you. The gal, she had just moved to our area from where I used to play college soccer. He's like, you'll love her. She'll remind you of Humboldt. Like, she's the best. So he introduces us to this gal. She helps us in the process, like search for a home. And, she could tell I like really loved the process. And halfway through, she's like, hey, you would be great at this. Have you ever considered getting into real estate? And I was like, no. And she's like, we consider it. And I was like, okay. And I literally bought the books that night and started studying and literally got licensed within, I don't know how long it took, like 6 months, and started working for her.
That is so funny. I mean, we've known each other for years and I did not know that story. I had no idea that you just went and bought the books that night.
Literally. Because at the time I was managing bars and I was sober and I was like, I have got to get out of this and I just don't know what I'm going to do. And
yeah,
she gave me an opening.
That's amazing. So how long did you work for her?
I was with her for not too long. I mean, I kind of, shadowed her for a while and I was really into it. I'd go with her to every appointment, listen to her on every phone call. And then when I got my license, I actually got introduced to Adam pretty quick on. I had a listing. He came to show it. He had listings. I came to show it. So we kept talking. And ultimately, I made the switch probably in the first 6 months that I was licensed.
Okay. And did everything just take off from there once you joined the team? When you really think things like really started going?
Yeah, I think that I got lucky. Like I was like late 20s when I started and all of my sphere was looking to buy a home. So I timed it well with just like life. And when I first got into real estate, I had a listing within like the first 3 weeks, which to this day Adam makes fun of me because he brought a buyer through and I was like, oh my God. Like I was so nervous. But I was lucky, like I got the listing and then I ended up with like 3 or 4 transactions in like my first literally 6 months. So when I made the switch to Prosper, I'd already done 3 or 4 deals and then I just like thrived under, Adam, who I keep mentioning, my broker, under his guidance. Like he would tell me like, hey, go do this. And I would just run and go do it. And I come back and be like, now what? Like that. And the momentum, it picked up pretty quick.
That's so funny. And I feel like there's so many agents listening to this, like, seriously, for the first 6 months, I couldn't even get one deal. And this chick is just like, I brought in all this stuff. And I think what a lot of our listeners don't know, because I've known Kim for a few years, and I feel like she has this funny capability of like taking a Zillow lead and all of a sudden she's like, oh yeah, now we're best friends. Like we closed the deal and now we're best friends and we're like hanging out and doing these things. So like, let's dig into that a little bit. Like, what do you think kind of sets you apart? I don't want to go into like the super nerdy details that I see. Like I can see like all of your like Zillow, scores are like so much higher than everybody else. But like, what do you feel like you do differently?
That's a really good question. I think, I think I've lived many lives in a short life. And so I genuinely feel like you could stick anyone in front of me and I'd find some commonality with them, like genuine commonality. And then when that happens, I can't help but I'm a Pisces, so I'm a very watery sign, I'm very emotional, and I just can't help myself. I get very invested in people. And I think that when we have a connection like that, I'm able to kind of know what they want pretty quickly, usually before they do, which I think most good agents have that ability, right? And
yeah.
And then, I do my job, but in their eye, I get to be a hero, right? Like that's the fun part of our job. And it just feels that. Yeah, that's the best part. And so, yeah, it was just talking about this because one of my recent clients, their daughter is now best friends with my daughter, and I put her on the soccer team that I coached, and they're like over at our house like weekly. Like they are just the best, you know?
That's so funny. I feel like that's one of my favorite things about real estate. And my husband used to get so frustrated with me. He's like, why do you care so much? Like, it's just a house or it's just this one client. And I'm like, because I feel like me accepting them as a client is like me almost like guaranteeing that if it's possible, I will find them the right place. Like, I'll pitch in money, I'll do all these things. He's like, I feel like you almost see it as like a charity thing. But I think that's so great because we get to do such amazing things as agents. Like, helping people buy their first home or they have a baby. Like you see all these big life things. But that's I feel like one of the superpowers I've seen with you is just like, you just get almost everybody. Like I don't hear you saying like, oh, I don't vibe with this person all that well. Cause I feel like you just are able to like take a Zillow call or take a lead and just run with it.
That's very kind of you. I complaining about somebody not that long ago. So I wouldn't say that's 100% accurate, but I agree. I agree in the sense that like I can't like if people are open and honest and kind with me, like I said, oh yeah, and like you said, like there's something like the adrenaline rush of like the hunt to find the thing that somebody wants that I take so incredibly serious. Like I'll go to any lengths to find them what they're looking for, and I think that build the relationship.
Yeah, and to go back to that, I have heard you complain about people, but you always leave the conversation, you leave the end of the transaction, like generally on good terms and like buddy. There's been a couple months that have gone awry, but you're like, today you're like, I hate them. And tomorrow you're like, oh, now we're just going to go hang out and go get coffee together.
So accurate.
It 100% is. Oh my gosh. So let's dig in. You've got some interesting stuff on your plate. Like you've got young kids and your husband just recently became a lender and now you're working on deals together. So like, how is all of that? Like you're both in real estate. How is that all working out?
Yeah, it was a little scary at first. I didn't know A, if he would like the job, and B, how we would work together, and C, like we're both now in these, commission-based jobs, totally relying on the real estate market. It was nerve-wracking for sure. But him and I are both, I think, a good mix of like some element of planning, but a lot of element of like, if it feels right, we have faith in the process, and it's totally been that. But working with him has actually been amazing. Like it's been so fun. He is, and he will love this, but he is so much better than I thought he was ever going to be. He is just so naturally good with people. And so I feel really confident, like handing anything off to him, even a buyer who I know may be a year-long project and credit repair and all that. He will hold their hand through the whole process, and he'll always follow up. And he always does what he says he's going to do through. I mean, I've seen him take buyers literally from a year ago and get them into contract. And so it has been super fun working together and in close quarters. But I'm also that kind of person. Like if I love you, like I almost never get sick of you. Like I will just like gobble you up. So it's been fun to like go grab coffees and do all that stuff together.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. I'd kill my husband if we worked together like that closely. There's just no way. Like I need my personal space. There's no way I can have him on the other end of like everything that we're doing. That's so funny.
I think what's been nice is that I was worried about that, but he's gotten so good that he's built his own kind of top realtor partners and his own database of offices where he like pays into their marketing and he's their go-to guy and he refers them business too. So like I on his list am somewhere in the top middle of his realtors. And
Okay.
Yeah, for real. It's perfect like that because he gets these other people who they built such a great team relationship, and then I have Josh as well. And so we get to use each other, but we've only probably closed 4 or 5 deals together.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Okay, good. Yeah, I couldn't do it, but that's great for you. Like my husband just hates realtors in general, which is so funny because like that's all I talk about is real estate and he like can't handle it. so us both being in real estate just wouldn't work. He talked about getting his license at one point, and I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Like that makes sense though. I mean, remind me, what does your husband do?
He's in construction, and it's mainly because he sees like the marketing side of realtors or hears me talk about it. So he like watches their reels and like the pictures that we all post that are just like, oh, look at the new shiny car. And he's like, I can't handle it right now. Like,
But that is like the perfect couple. Like I've seen that couple, like construction, the blue collar, like guy, realtor. That's like the perfect magical couple.
we're like so cliche. I feel like I always like make jokes. I'm like, we're like everybody's favorite meme to like post about like our family and just like the stuff we do. And this like, we're so lame.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Oh my gosh. And how about kids? Like how have kids like affected your real estate career? I mean, you had new babies like during, selling. So how did that work out? How has that affected your business?
Yeah, that subject matter has definitely been an evolving one for sure. I think in the beginning of real estate, I was definitely kind of out with a vengeance to like prove that I'm somebody and that I can do this. And, I was really like adamant on just succeeding. And as the years have gone on, as I think most agents at some point do, you get a little burnt out. And I realized like, I think I need to kind of reprioritize my time and energy. And so the kids, this last, I'd say 2 years, have been much more of the focal point of things and everything else revolving around it. And I know that's like, duh, but it wasn't duh for me. I can definitely say that I put work above like family and kids at times. I can admit to that. And I don't do that anymore. So I think what's been really nice these last couple of years is to stay consistent in work, but also like pick my kids up from school and be there and coach them and be at the soccer games and be at the evening stuff and not sacrifice a lot of that. But that a lot of that is due to Tommy's success too. So I have a little bit more of an ability to take that time. So we're tossing the ball back and forth constantly. Someone's always got a weekend thing or a night thing, but one of us is always present and home or picking them up. And it's actually been, knock on wood. I'm like waiting for the other shoe to drop of when it's gonna go, but at the moment, it's really nice.
I was going to say, how are you doing that? So you're just dividing and conquering. So you're going one way, he's going another. So then you guys can both do like because like real estate and lending, it could be 24 hours a day if you allow it to.
Yeah. I think the boundaries of like work have improved on both of our ends. Like, like you said, like we could sit there and work around the clock if we wanted. Like the work doesn't just stop in real estate. Oh, I'm completed all my tasks. I'm done.
Yeah.
So, I think what has been really nice is that as Tommy got into the business, he had 4 or 5 years of experience being my partner in real estate, and being my partner as a realtor. And he got to see like there's times where you just can't, you have to take the call. You have to do the thing. And so he's been really good support now that he understands it, firsthand. And I'm able to support him too. So it's like this general understanding of like, none of us are going to miss something or go out in the evening or do the thing that is interrupting family time unless we have to. And that's been kind of the key thing is like the things that we can work around our own schedule do. And then the things we have to do, the other ones just like, yeah, I got you. Cause I know how this goes. I know that it's 9 to 5 schedule and you have to go out at 6 o'clock and show or take the call,
That's amazing because I feel like that's hard in a lot of realtors' just personal life is that their significant other understanding. I mean, when I used to sell, like I remember before kids, like it'd be like 8:30 at night and someone would call my phone and I'd answer it. And my husband's like, "Is that really necessary?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm like a new agent. I'm trying to sell and something's happening, right?" And yeah, your client just got off work and they want to talk to you right now. And he's like, "This is my time." I'm like, "Well, yeah, yes, but I also want to get the deal done." So I feel like it takes time for like your partner too to like understand the business.
Well, yes, I would fully agree. And he did it for a while, right? And I was doing what I do. My lovely personality trait of I love something and I'm going to obsess on it. And I was obsessive about work for a long
Yeah.
time. And so from his perspective, it's exactly like you said, like, are you really going to answer that? Or you really have to go again? And it's been nice, right? In hindsight, part of it, he's right. I have learned how to work the schedule a little bit better and keep some boundaries that great clients always respect, right? Like if they have the ability to and the time and their schedule, they always respect. But part of it was just the job. And so now, right, in hindsight, he sees, oh yeah, maybe I was a little hard on you. You were kind of doing the best that you did, right? At the relation, like you said, like taking every call, every show, like doing everything possible to succeed, you know?
Yeah. That's so funny you say that because I say that all the time too. I'm like, if you just set some boundaries with the clients you do have, yes, there's going to be the wonky person that like they're only here this weekend. They can only see houses from this time to this time. But generally, when you tell a client, hey, these are my business hours, more often than not, they're totally fine with it. Like they didn't even care to begin with. You just have to like let them know, hey, this is the parameters or this is family time. I really haven't had many clients like push back on that where they're like, oh no, I have to be out at 8 o'clock at night showing houses. Half the time you can't see houses that late anyways because of the actual seller. So it just takes some balance and some time figuring out. So I mean, what do you think for like our listeners? What do you think is like a great tip for like working moms or, a realtor that maybe works with their husband? What kind of takeaways can they get to build their business?
I would say for the working mom element, I think that a plan in place, like I think two things. I think, and they maybe they're conflicting advice, but like I believe you have to go into it knowing that the first couple of years, you do almost, I wouldn't say obsessive as I got, but you do have to hit this level of commitment to the fact that you're going to master the skill set and be a hustler, because I don't know many people that succeeded in real estate or made it out of those first 3 years without that like really deep drive to do well. And that is answering those late phone calls and doing all of that stuff. So I think it's a commitment in the beginning to know that you will grind, it will do things that are outside of the range of probably a normal 9 to 5 job or whatever it is that you've been in before. And so with that, having quality time with the kids, like literally there's been times to retrain my mind where I've set alarms. Like I'm going to sit on the floor and play with the kids for 10 minutes. I'm going to put the alarm in there. And that quality time has elevated my connection with the kids and made it feel okay when I do have to leave in the weekend. So it's like having that drive and commitment to hustle, but also like when you are home, just the quality time with them has transformed, I think, our household in general. Like everyone's happier under our roof because of it.
I love that. I feel like it's not just necessarily that you're there, right? You're present, but are you actually spending quality time with the kids when you're actually home? I feel like I'm totally guilty of that, where I'll get off work, but I'm not actually present because I'm still thinking about something. I'm not actively doing something with the kids. I'm just there. And then I feel guilty because I'm like, oh, well, I wasn't really paying attention. And they know, like my oldest will straight up tell me, like, you're not paying attention. Like, you don't even know what the cartoon's about that we're even watching. I'm like, you're right. I don't even know what the character's name is. So I think, the actual quality time is so important.
Yeah, I agree 100%. They can tell the difference. And that's what kind of wakes your brain up to be like, oh, yeah, I need to get back into the
Right.
center.
Right. Okay. This is totally like an Adam question, but I feel like we have to do this one. So, what is the funniest thing that's happened to you in real estate?
Oh, my God. Oh,
You're like, I got it.
easy. By the way, your screen is black, but I'm sure it's okay.
Yeah, yours was too. I think we have a connection issue. I couldn't see your face for like 5 minutes.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay. So, funniest real estate stories is this was probably 5 years ago now. I was showing these buyers, it was a couple and then the brother of the couple, and they were going to buy all three of them together. they were and still are awesome people. They're friends of mine now. And we were out looking at homes, and I remember it was actually our listing. It was a Prosper listing. And we're like walking through the house, and the brother's being like very quiet. Now, he was always pretty quiet and kind of did his own thing, but like it seemed a little bit off at this point. But I'm just like, oh, whatever, maybe had a long day. So he did work like long hours at the post office. And so we go outside, we're on the back deck, and we're kind of like talking about, a possible plan for an offer for this house. And so I'm like describing, the strategy and all of this. And all of a sudden I hear like liquid, like water trickling. And then I get quiet because I'm like focusing on it. And I realize that the brother was peeing his pants on the back deck. And I was like, oh, and then so my brain just, snaps into overdrive, and I just start continuing to talk, like pretending like it's not happening. But then the sister was like, oh my God. All right, I'm not going to say his name, but she's like, Ted, are you peeing right now? Are you drunk right now? Go sit in the car. And so he waddles through the side yard to go sit in the car. He had peed his pants. It's showing because he was a little drunk.
A little drunk. That's a lot of drunk.
Yes.
Oh my God. That, like, I've heard of a million different like pee stories, like, toilets that weren't working and all those things, but like for real and a grown man, I feel like you handled it so well. I don't even know what I would do. I feel like I would just be shocked.
Oh gosh, I was, but you're right, like your brain goes into overdrive mode after that, and was like, okay, I'm gonna pretend like this didn't happen. But what was funny is like right after that happened, the couple decided, I don't think we're gonna buy with brother anymore. So the couple ended up buying solo after that.
I mean, fair. That is like 100% fair. You're like, it's like if he showed up to a showing like that, like there's like real issues. Oh my God. That's the best. Oh my God. Well, Miss Kim, thank you so much for coming and joining us on the podcast. If anybody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yes. Well, I'm in Tennessee, and I'm always on my phone because I'm a realtor. So I can put my cell phone number and email address here. And you can also find me on Instagram. I think it's just Kim_Bodell.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'll drop all that information in the show notes. And if anyone has any questions, you can always just reach out to Jennifer, the realtor, and I can always connect you to Kim if you've got any buyers or sellers in the Sonoma County or Santa Rosa area. And well, thanks, Kim, for